This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students, good evening. I'm Dr. Divya from TeenEinstein. So we are in the second chapter, sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Right? So in this chapter, we were discussing about sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So far what and all we have learned? Flowers. Flowers are the site of sexual reproduction in flowering plant or in angiosperms, and the male reproductive organ is the androecium and the female reproductive organ is the gynecium. And then we have learned about the bilobed anther, the structure of anther, right? Then the structure of pollen grains we learned. Then we have learned about embryo sac. We have learned about embryo sac, the 7-cell stage and 8 nucleate stage of that embryo sac we have learned. That is very important. You may get so many questions for your NEET exam from that. And then we discussed about pollination, right? We learned how a pollen grain is forming, and next we learned what is pollination. So what is pollination? It is the mechanism of transferring pollen grains from the anther to stigma. Anther is the male part where pollen grains are formed, and that should be transferred or that should reach on the stigma, the receptive surface of stigma for fertilization, right? So pollen grains will, or they will get transferred from the anther to the stigma. That is called as that mechanism of transferring pollen grains from the anther to stigma. It is called as pollination. So we know that male and female gametes of this flowering plant, they don't have or they can't move. These male and female gametes can't move. They are non-motile, right? So they need some agents to make that fertilization, right? So without the help of agents, fertilization is impossible in flowering plants. So they need some kind of agents to make that fertilization, right? So next we are going to learn about agents of pollination. In last class we have just started this topic, but today we'll complete this topic, agents of pollination. We have learned about different types of pollination, right? Now we are going to learn about different agents which are helping to make this pollination. That pollination, these agents are making this pollination in a successful way. The pollination means the transferring mechanism of pollen grains from the anther to stigma, and these mechanism, it is happening with the help of some pollinating agents. So there are different types of pollinating agents. Now we are going to learn about the pollinating agents or agents of pollination. Got it? So generally, mainly plants have two types of agents to achieve this pollination. Or to make it happen, generally plants use two types of agents. Which are the two types of agents? First one is abiotic agents and second one is biotic agents. Which are the agents? Abiotic agents and biotic agents. Abiotic agents means wind and water. Wind and water, they are coming under abiotic agents. Among agents of pollination, you can see two types of agents. One is abiotic agent and the second type is biotic agent. The first one, abiotic agent, means wind and water. Both are coming under abiotic agents. Got it? The second type is biotic agents. Biotic agent means animals. The pollination or the pollinating agents are animals in the case of biotic agents. Okay, so biotic agents means animals. So most of the plants, they are using biotic agents for pollination. Majority of the plants use biotic agents for their pollination. So only a very small proportion of plants, they are using biotic agents. Mainly they are using biotic agents, and very small proportion they are using abiotic agents. So in the case of abiotic agents like water and wind, in the last class we said that there is a chance of pollination. It's only a chance. Okay. If the pollen grains are carried by the wind or water, then only that fertilization will happen. So in that case, it's not sure. There is no surety in that fertilization or the pollination. So it's not sure that that fertilization will happen. It's just a chance of pollen grains coming in contact with the stigma, and just a chance factor, that is called as just a chance factor for pollination. So in this case, both wind and water pollination is just a chance factor. It's not sure. Okay. So to come over the situation, what the plants will do? The plants will produce more pollen grains, or the flowers will produce more pollen grains. So in which that pollination will become successful. If it is a abiotic agent also, the pollination will become successful because more pollen grains are getting released, so that any one pollen grain, I said it is a chance factor. So any one pollen grain will reach on the stigmatic surface to achieve the pollination. So that is just a chance in the case of abiotic agents. Got it? So in this type, number of ovules will be less, but the pollen grains are more, because one pollen grain is reaching near the ovule, also fertilization will take place, right? But the pollen grain should reach. That is, there comes the chance. So the pollen grain, if there are 1,000 pollen grains, it's sure that any one will reach near the ovule, right? So these kind of plants or flowers, they will release more number of pollen grains to make sure that the pollination is happening. Or to avoid that, a chance factor, that is just a chance factor. So to make sure that their pollination is happening, this kind of plants will release more pollen grains. Got it? So in the agents of pollination, we said there are two types of agents for pollination, biotic and abiotic agents. So among the abiotic agents, the first agent is wind. Okay, first one is wind pollination. So the wind pollination, it is also called as anemophily. Wind pollination, it is also called as anemophily. These are all important MCQs, note down. So in anemophily, the pollens, you can see here, through wind, the pollen grains are moving. Okay, you can see in this picture very clearly, these are the pollen grains released by this inflorescence. So the pollen grains are carried through the wind. This white dust-like appearance, whatever is there, that is pollen grains. These are pollen grains. So that is carried through wind. So wind pollination is also called as anemophily, and in anemophily the pollens are distributed by wind. Clear? And see, don't write if anemophily there, it is somewhat similar to animals. So don't write exactly it's by animals, something like that. It is coming under abiotic agents, and the wind pollination is called as anemophily. Okay. So in anemophily, pollens are distributed by wind. So most of the gymnosperms, in gymnosperms, this is the common method. Gymnosperms are anemophilous. Mainly they are anemophilous. Okay. The pollen grains are carried through wind only in gymnosperms. And in this, that pollen is transported by air currents. When air currents comes, these pollen grains are carried, and from one individual plant to another plant, these pollen grains are reaching through air current. Right? This air current, when air current is passing, that time the pollen grains from one flower, it will reach to another flower or another plant. Okay, the pollen grains are carried by the wind and through that it is reaching another plant or another flower. So around 12% of plants, they are wind pollinated plants. 12% of plants are wind pollinated plants like grasses and that cereal crops and all. You can see these and all wind pollinated. Okay, so these kind of wind pollination that may cause pollen allergy also. I said wind pollination, these abiotic agents means that is just a chance factor. So to avoid that, they will release number of pollen grains, right? So we have learned about pollen allergies also. Like this, so many pollen grains are getting released to the air. And this is carried from one place to another place through air. Through air current, this will spread everywhere. So that kind of pollens may cause some kind of allergies also. We have already learned in the previous class, right, about pollen allergy and parthenium plant and all that may cause pollen allergy, like that we have learned. So pollination by the agency of wind, that is called as anemophily, and pollens are distributed by wind in this. And it occurs in mainly plants with known attractive flowers. In wind pollinated flowers, that flower may not be attractive. They are known attractive flowers and inconspicuous and non-attractive. In small flowers, also, this kind of pollination is taking place and the flowers may not be attractive. Examples are bamboo, then wheat, sugarcane, maize, grass, date palm. In all these, pollinating agent is wind. Wind pollination is taking place in the case of these plants. So examples are wheat, sugarcane, date palm, bamboo, maize. All these are wind pollinated plants. Next, the wind pollinating flowers, they have special characters or special features. What are all the special features they have? They have the special characters. In those plants, the pollen grains are light. Means light-weighted pollen grains are present in these kind of plants because they are carried through wind. Through air current, it is carried. So this kind of plants will be having light-weighted pollen grains and they are non-sticky because it is carried by wind. So if it is heavy, means wind can't carry that, right? It won't move. It won't move much distance also. And next point, they are non-sticky. If it is sticky, means it won't move, right? It will stick on the anther only, or the pollen grains will stick to each other. If it is sticky, means it won't move or it can't come out of anther itself, right? So when wind comes, if it is non-sticky, that can move. So in such flowers, the stamens are well exposed. Stamens are exposed because if the stamens are closed or it is inside something, how the pollen grains, if pollen grains are getting released also, that can't carry through wind. It will be inside that flower only, right? So the exposed flowers or the exposed, well exposed stamen, that will help for wind pollination. From the anther, nicely pollen grains will get released into air and so that the wind can carry the pollen grains, right? And the stigma of such flowers, it is large and feathery. You can see here the large and feathery type of stigma, so that the pollen grains which are present in the air, it will get stick to this feather type stigma. So that will help to catch the pollen grains coming through air, right? And these plants or these flowers, they don't have nectaries in the flower. Why? This nectaries and all mainly that is to attract insects. If this is getting pollinated by wind, it's not necessary. The nectaries are not necessary and the flowers are very small. and in that inflorescence, the pollination is taking place by wind. There is no need of nectaries because nothing is there. There is no, it's not necessary to attract the insects. So no need of nectaries. So inflorescence also present. You can see here. This is rice. In that also, this is inflorescence. Here also, this is the inflorescence. Okay. And only single ovule. Single ovule is present. These are the characters of wind pollinated flowers. Wind pollinated plants, these type of flowers are there. I'll repeat one by one. In wind pollinating flowers, they have special characters. The pollen grains are light and non-sticky. The pollen grains are very light and non-sticky. There won't be heavy pollen grains and sticky pollen grains because that should get carried through wind. And the stamens are well exposed in flowers. The stamens are well exposed and they have large feathery stigma. Large feathery stigma and nectaries are absent because there is no necessity to attract the insect, and the inflorescence is present and presence of single ovule. These are the characters of wind pollinating flowers. Got it? Next is pollination carried out by water. Pollination through water. That is the next abiotic agent is water. So pollination by water, it is a rare case. It is very rare in flowering plants. Got it? It is limited to about 30 genera. About 30 genera it is limited. It's not present everywhere. It is very rare, this water pollination, and it is limited only to 30 genera, and mainly it is seen in monocotyledons. Okay, it's mainly seen in monocotyledons, this water pollination. And in 11th standard, we have already learned that plant kingdom, right? We have learned about the plant kingdom. In that, we have learned that among the lower plants, hope you remember the lower plants, water is the common mode of transport for the male gametes. In the lower plants, in the plant kingdom, you learned about this bryophytes, pteridophytes and all, right? So in that, the mode of transport for the male gamete, it is through water. In algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes and all. So especially for some bryophyta and pteridophyta, the meeting of male and gamete, female gamete, that is happening with the help of water. Okay. Male and female gamete that meet is meeting in the water. And because of this, the water, they need water for the transport of male gamete. That lower plants, they need, it is necessary only through water that transport of male gamete is taking place. So these plants, their distribution is limited because their pollination, or in the case of lower plants, the male gamete transport is very difficult. Without the presence of water, male gamete transport is impossible. So the distribution of these kind of plants, it is limited because they need water. That is the main reason. So abiotic agent, in that second one is water, and the pollination carried out by water, it is called as hydrophily. What it is called as? It is called as hydrophily. The pollination carried out by water is called as hydrophily, and the flowers are small and unisexual. They have unisexual flower and they are small, and the floral parts of these plants and the pollen, it will not be wet. Why? Because it is coated with mucilage. Even though it is water pollinating or the hydrophilous plants, their floral parts, the parts of that flower or that pollen grain, all these won't be wet because it is coated with the type of mucilage. And they have long and sticky stigma. Their stigma is long and sticky, so that the pollen grains which are moving through this water will come and stick to this stigma, right? And they have, the nectaries are absent in this flower because nothing will come, no insect will come for pollination. Nectaries are mainly for the attraction of these insects or birds. Then this color, scent and nectar, it is absent in this flower. There's no need of colored flowers. And scent, fragrance also, it won't help in the case of hydrophily. Examples for hydrophilous plants are Ceratophyllum and Vallisneria. Ceratophyllum and Vallisneria, these are the examples for hydrophilous plants. Okay. Next is, so water pollination, it is called as hydrophily, right? So we know that in hydrophily, the pollination is taking place with the help of water. So we know Vallisneria and Hydrilla. There is another example called Hydrilla that grows in fresh water. Vallisneria and Hydrilla grows in fresh water. Got it? And another one, Zostera, that is a marine seagrass. Zostera is a marine seagrass. All these are water pollinated plants, or hydrophily is taking place in all these cases. So all aquatic plants, they are not using water for pollination. All these are aquatic plants, but all aquatic plants are not using water for pollination. Note down this point. And majority of the aquatic plants, for example, this water hyacinth and water lily, all these are water plants only, right? But these are emerging above the water level, right? They are present above the water level. So in this case, there is no hydrophily. These are not hydrophilous plants. Instead of that, they are pollinated by insect or wind. Same like the land plants, these are also pollinated by insect or wind. So all water plants are not pollinated by hydrophily, which are above the water level. They are getting pollinated by insect or wind. As the case of, as what is happening in the case of higher plants, same as that, these plants also getting pollinated. So there are two types of hydrophily. Hydrophily means water pollination. That there are two types: hypohydrophily, epihydrophily. There are two types of hydrophily: hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. In hypohydrophily, pollination that takes place with the help of water below the water surface in hydrophytes. Hydrophytes means plants which are living in water. So in the case of hydrophytes, below the water level pollination is taking place, means that is called as hypohydrophily. Got it? Pollination takes place with the help of water below the water surface in hydrophytes. In such hydrophytes, that plants will be, or that flowers will be bearing that female flower. That plants will be having the female flower which are submerged. The submerged female flower will be present in such kind of plants. But in the case of epihydrophily, when the pollination occurs on the surface of water, on water surface, the pollination is taking place, that is called as epihydrophily. So there are two types of hydrophily: Hypohydrophily. Hypo means the pollination is taking place below the water surface. Okay. The female plants are submerged. Female plants will be present under the water level. So pollination is taking place under the water level. Okay. So epihydrophily, for example for hypohydrophily is Zostera. I said that is a marine seagrass. In that and Ceratophyllum. In both, hypohydrophily is taking place. Important neat question. Note down. Hypohydrophily. Example Zostera and Ceratophyllum. And next type of hydrophily is epihydrophily. Epihydrophily means the pollination is taking place on the surface of water. On water surface, the pollination is taking place. That is called as epihydrophily. Example is Vallisneria. Vallisneria epihydrophilus. It is an epihydrophilus plant. Clear? So in Vallisneria, so we know that hypohydrophily and epihydrophily, and just now I said Vallisneria is an example for epihydrophily. In Vallisneria, you can see the picture here. In Vallisneria, epihydrophily is taking place. That means below the water surface pollination is, above the water surface pollination is taking place. So in Vallisneria, it is a dioecious plant. Okay. Epihydrophily is taking place. It is a dioecious plant. Dioecious plant means, what is a dioecious plant? That means the male and female flowers are produced on different plants. Right. Dioecious means the male and female flowers are produced on different plants. That they are called as dioecious plants. Both male and female, they are produced on different plants. So in Vallisneria, flowers are submerged. We can see here. You can see here, this is the male flower, and here you can see the female flower also. Both are submerged in the starting stage. Okay. So in the Vallisneria, flowers are submerged, and when the flowers are matured, when it is getting matured, the male flower, you can see the red colored flower, the male flower, that male flower may get detached from the male inflorescence. This is the male inflorescence. So the flowers will get separated, or it will get detached from the male inflorescence. And in the diagram, you can see the male flower and female flower. This is the male flower, and here this is the yellow color, that is the female flower. So the male flower, this is the male inflorescence, means group of flowers. So as it matures, the male flower, it will get separated from the inflorescence, and the male flower, after detaching, this will float, or these flowers float on the water surface. You can see red color dots here. These are the separated or detached male flowers which are floating on the water surface. Got it? So after maturation, the male flowers will get detached from the inflorescence, and it will float. These flowers may float on the water surface. Got it? Then you can see here the female flowers, this yellow color, female flowers also. And the female flowers, they are not like the normal flowers. You can see in the diagram itself, they have a long coiled pedicel. Right? Long coiled pedicel you can see. At the tip of this pedicel, you can see the flower. See here. The tip of the pedicel, the flower is present. There is a long coiled pedicel in the case of female flower. So at the time of maturity, this coiled pedicel of the female flower, that undergoes uncoiling. That uncoiling will take place there. So uncoiling is happening, and uncoiling of pedicel is taking place, so that these flower will reach the surface of water. So that the flower can reach the surface of water. And the male flower, which is around the female flower. See, now you can see one yellow flower is present here. This is the female flower. So already the male flowers are released, and it is present, or it is floating on the water surface. That male flower which is present around the female flower that undergoes anthesis. What is anthesis? Release of pollen grains. So the male flowers which are present near to this female flower that will undergo anthesis, or that may release pollen grains. Right? So the pollens released during the anthesis of male flower, these are getting deposited on the stigma surface of the female flower. So from these male flowers, pollen grains may get released, and these released pollen grains will reach on the stigmatic surface of the female flower. Got it? So that's how in Vallisneria the cross pollination is achieved. So how it is getting cross pollinated? In Vallisneria, it is a dioecious plant. That means male and female flowers are produced on different plants, and the flowers are submerged. You can see both flowers, male and female flowers, are submerged. So at the time of maturity, the male flowers are detached from the male inflorescence. From this male inflorescence, male flowers are getting detached and that begin to float on the water surface. Here you can see the male flowers which are floating on the water surface. And the female flowers, they have coiled and long pedicel. You can see here in yellow color the long and coiled pedicel. That will undergo uncoiling at the time of maturity. When the flower is becoming mature, this coiled pedicel will undergo uncoiling at the time of maturity, and that will reach on the water surface. That reaches the water surface. You can see here now this flower is near the water surface, and the male flower, here so many released flowers are there or detached flowers are there. These flowers will undergo anthesis. This anthesis means release of pollen grains, and due to which these pollen grains are deposited on the stigmatic surface of the female flower, and cross pollination is achieved in the Vallisneria plant. Got it? Is it clear? This is very important, the cross pollination in Vallisneria. Next, so the pollinating agents, we have learned about two types, abiotic and biotic, right? So abiotic pollinators or the pollinating agents are wind and water. So we have learned about the wind pollination, which is anemophily, and the water pollination or hydrophily, right? So the abiotic part is over now. Abiotic pollination or the pollinating agents are wind and water. One is anemophily. What is that? Wind pollination. Next, abiotic is hydrophily, means water pollination. So abiotic part we have completed. Now let's move to the biotic agents of pollination. So we are going to learn about the biotic agents of pollination. Okay. So biotic, from that term itself, the term indicating the biotic pollination means pollination with the help of living organism. Okay. So majority of the flowering plants, they use animals as the pollinating agents. Only, I said only 12% it is using this wind pollination. 12% of plants are using wind pollination. Remaining or most of the flowering plants are using animals as the pollinating agents. So in the picture, here in the picture you can see so many biotic agents. All these biotic agents, here you can see so many, all these are helping for pollination, or they are acting as pollinators. They are working as pollinating agents. Okay, you can see bees, butterflies, birds, bats, all these are pollinators. So among the biotic pollinating agents, you can see bees, moths, beetles, flies, birds, bats and all. So insect pollination, that is a common, or insects are the major agents of pollination. Clear? Insects are the major agents of pollination. Majority of the pollination, it is taking place in flowering plants. Majority of the pollination is taking place with the help of insects. Okay. So there are different types of biotic pollinating agents or biotic pollination: entomophily, ornithophily, chiropterophily, and another type is malacophily. So there are different types of pollination with the help of biotic agents. So biotic agents of pollination, majority of the flowering plants use animals as the pollinating agents. So animals are the major pollinating agents. Bees, butterflies, birds, ants, all these are acting as pollinating agents. So insect pollination is the common one. Insect pollination is the main and common one. Most important agents of pollination. First one is entomophily. Entomophily means pollination by insects. No doubt, entomophily is pollination by insects. Then ornithophily. Ornithophily means pollination by birds. Ornithophily means pollination by birds. Then chiropterophily. That means pollination by bats. Pollination by bats, it is called as chiropterophily. Then malacophily. Malacophily means pollination by slug and snail. Pollination which is taking place by slug and snail, it is called as malacophily. That is called as malacophily. It's very important. Note down in this malacophily and all. Usually it is found in NEET questions. So you can note down entomophily is pollination by insect. Ornithophily means pollination by birds. Then chiropterophily means pollination by bats. Then malacophily means pollination by slug and snail. That is called as malacophily. Malacophily. Clear? Next is, in the case of animals, they act as biotic agents of pollination. So that type of pollination with the help of animals, it is called as zoophily. Generally, the pollination which is taking place with the help of animals, it is called as zoophily. Animal pollinated plants, they are called as zoophilous plants, or that pollination is called as zoophily. So in majority of the flowers, animals are the pollinating agents. We have already told animals are the pollinating agents. The bees and the large animals all will come under this. So bees and large animals, including large animals, all these have been reported as pollinating agents. Okay. So what is attracting these animals and insects for pollination? Or the zoophilous plants, what are the characters of those flowers? They have large flowers or attractive flowers, and these flowers have nectar glands. Got it? These flowers, zoophilous, or which are pollinated by animals, those flowers, most of the flowers are large flowers and they are colorful and attractive flowers. Okay, and these flowers, they have nectar glands. The flowers have nectar glands also. So especially for this nectar, these insects or the animals, they are coming to this flower. Okay, so these are the important features of zoophilous flower. So the pollination with the help of animals, it is called as zoophily. With the help of animals, it is called as zoophily. And in majority of the flowering plants, animals are the pollinating agents. Animals are the pollinating agents in majority of the flowering plants. And bees are the major pollinating agents. Which are the major pollinating agents? Mainly bees are acting as the major pollinating agents among biotic agents. So among biotic agents, bees are most important because they are acting as major pollinating agents. So large animals, they also have been reported as pollinating agents. Not only the small insects, large animals also have been reported as pollinating agents. And large attractive flowers with nectar glands. That is the speciality of zoophilous flowers. What are the main characters of zoophilous flowers? large attractive flowers with nectar glands. That is the important point, or that is the main point of this zoophilus flowers. Got it? So among the biotic agents of pollination, first one is that we are going to discuss now is entomophily. Entomophily we are going to discuss now, that is among biotic agents of pollination. Entomophily is the first one. That is the pollination with the help of insects. We have already told entomophily means pollination with the help of insects. It is called as entomophily. And we have already told bees. Bees are the main insects for the pollination of flowers. Mainly honey bees or such bees are the main insects for the pollination of flowers. So most of the insect pollination, it is with the help of honey bees. You can see here honey bees are mainly helping for insect pollination. Okay. So most of the insect pollinated flowers are colorful. So we have already told zoophilus plants, zoophilus flowers, the characters of zoophilus flowers, mainly attractive and colorful flowers. They are rich in nectar and large flowers. Most of the flowers are large, and then they have nectar or nectaries are present. Then another character, they are colorful. Large flowers, large flowers in the sense they are not very large, means they are not minute flowers, because these bees should go. They should go near to the nectaries, right? So the flowers are not minute. That's what it means. So most of the insect pollinated flowers are colorful, rich in nectar, and they are large. If the flowers are small, means that may be in the form of inflorescence also. If the flowers are very small, means, or small flowers means, it will be in the form of inflorescence. So in this type, both insect and plants will get benefit. Right? Both the insect and plants will get the benefit from this relationship. How? The insect, it will get source of food in the form of nectar, right? So when the insect is going and sitting on this flower or this anther, it will get, that is going inside the flower to collect the food or to collect the nectar. So in the process of collecting nectar, that insect will be moving from one plant to another plant or one flower to another flower, right? So while collecting nectar, that will be sitting on the anther, so that pollen grains will be sticking to this legs or to the body of that particular insect. From this flower, see, think that this bees are sitting on this flower. When it is collecting nectar from this flower, while collecting the nectar, the pollen grains also will get attached, or it will stick to the body of these bees. When it is reaching another flower, when it is moving to another flower, these pollen grains will reach to next flower, right? So in the process of collecting of nectar, the insect will be moving from one plant to another plant or another flower. So during that, the insect will spread the pollen between flowers, right? That pollen from one flower, it's taken by these flies or bees, and when it is reaching another flower, the pollen grains are getting deposited in that flower, right? So the pollination with the help of insect, it is called as entomophily, and bees are the most common group of insects that are important for the pollination of flowers. So the plants they have a number of adaptation or characters to attract insect. They have brightly colored petals and aromatic flowers and tasty nectar. They have colored petals, aromatic flowers and tasty nectar. So both the insect and plant, both are getting benefited from this relationship. Insects, they gain a source of food from the nectar of flower. And in the process of nectar collection, they are moving from one flower to another flower and they are spreading the pollen between the flowers. Got it? So in entomophily, that night flowering plants, they are pollinated by one type of insect. They are moths. Moths are helping for the pollination of night flowering plants. Moths are not butterflies. Don't get confused. Moths are not butterflies. So night flowering plants, moths are helping for the pollination. So these flowers generally they are white in color because the night flowering plants, hope you know that almost all the flowers have light colors like white or off-white colors and all. And night flowering plants have good fragrance. These are all for attracting the insects, or they have high fragrance, or they are highly scented. These are all for attracting the insects. So in insect pollinated flowers, the pollen grains are sticky due to the presence of pollen kit. What is that pollen kit? What is pollen kit? It is the common adhesive material present around the pollen grains. That normal adhesive material which is present around the pollen grains. This helps to stick to the body of the insect. It is a sticky layer. That sticky layer found on the surface of the mature pollen grain, or that is the adhesive material present around the pollen grain, or the sticky material present around the mature pollen grain. That is called as pollen kit. So pollen grains are sticky. In the insect pollinated flowers, the pollen grains are sticky due to the presence of pollen kit. And the pollen kit consists of lipid and carotenoids. Note down, pollen kit, it is consisting of lipid and carotenoids. Pollen kit, lipid and carotenoid, both are present in pollen kit. That makes the sticky substance called pollen kit. And pollen kit is protective envelope. That is the protective envelope and adhering agent. Because of that, that pollen grain is getting stick to the body of the insect. Okay. And examples, we can say examples for entomophilous plants: coriander, onion, lemon, all these are entomophilous plants. So the night flowering plants, they are pollinated by moths, and these type of flowers, they are highly scented, and these flowers are generally white colored or off-white color. And the pollen grains of insect pollinated flowers, they become sticky due to the presence of pollen kit. What is pollen kit? Pollen kit consists of lipid and carotenoids. Note down, lipid and carotenoids, and that is a sticky substance which is helping the pollen grain to stick to the body of these insects, or that forms the sticky appearance, that creates the sticky appearance of the pollen grains. And pollen kit, that is the protective envelope, or that is the adhering agent. Got it? And examples for entomophilous plants are cucumber, cotton, tobacco, then apple, pear fruit. Have you seen pear fruit? All these things are coming under entomophilous plants. Lemon, coriander, onion. Then in Asteraceae family, almost all flowers, all are entomophilous. Then cucumber, cotton, tobacco, brassica, eucalyptus, all these are entomophilous plants. You can expect one question from this for NEET exam as well as your board exam. For all these, so many questions will be coming from this. Okay, examples they may ask, and They may ask about the terms, what is pollen kit, what is entomophily, all these things. Okay, so note down the points. Next is in bougainvillea. This is also entomophilous plant. Bougainvillea, you have seen several colors are there in this. It is a very good garden plant. In this is also entomophilous or insect pollinated plant. Okay, entomophilous plant. So in bougainvillea, the white color you can see. This is the flower. This is the actual flower. The colored part which we are saying is the bracts. Okay. So in picture you can see bougainvillea. You can see the small white color flower. Only that part is the flower. You can see this is the flower. Okay. Only that is the flower. The attractive colorful part you can see the pink color or yellow color, orange color. The attractive colorful part, that is not the flower. Okay. That is not the actual flower. It is called as bract. Note down, that is called as bract. So what is bract? It is specialized or modified leaf. That is specialized or modified leaf. That is called as bract. That is used to be associated with the reproductive structures such as flowers or inflorescence. So now here in bougainvillea, this is attached to the reproductive structure. Here flower, this small white color, that is the reproductive structure or reproductive structure of a flower. So this is, here the bract is attached to the flower in the case of bougainvillea. Right? So it is like a petal or it looks like a petal. It is called as petaloid bracts. Petaloid bracts. Bracts which are looking like a petal. That is called as petaloid bracts. Here these are colorful bracts which is having a petal-like appearance. So they are called as petaloid bracts. And here you can see the yucca plant. Okay. These plants, this is also, in this plant also, they are developing a kind of symbiotic relationship with the species of moth. These are getting pollinated with the help of moth. So they have a special symbiotic relationship. So in yucca plant, a species of moth, note down this, the species of moth called Pronuba eucacella. Pronuba eucacella, that is a species of moth that is laying eggs inside the locule of the ovary. Inside the flower, inside the ovary, it is laying egg. Okay. As that seed is developing, that larva of these moth, it will come out of the egg. Okay. The life cycle of both the yucca plant and this larva, that cannot be completed without each other. So they have a symbiotic association. Got it? Next is in entomophily, the another point which comes in the case of Amorphophallus. The Amorphophallus is the tallest flower. It will come around 6 feet in height. You can see this is the Amorphophallus flower. In this, the process of pollination is the same way as in yucca. The moths are helping for pollination. Here, the process of pollination, it is in the same way, because this is also providing space for egg laying. Okay, for egg laying, this flower is also providing space. So there is a mutual relationship between this. And in the case of Rafflesia, this is the Rafflesia flower. This, it is having a odor. The smell is like a rotten meat. Rotten meat smell will be there for this. And the pollination is brought about by carrion flies. This is entomophilous plant and carrion fly. You can see the flies here. In this, the carrion flies are helping for pollination in the case of Rafflesia. Note down these points will come: Rafflesia, the carrion flies, and this is also entomophilous plant. And in the case of Amorphophallus, which is the tallest flower, this also there is a mutual relationship, mutual beneficial relationship between the insect and the plant. Got it? Next is ornithophily. Ornithophily means it is the process of pollination by birds. Here birds are helping for pollination. Ornithophily means birds are helping for pollination. The birds will come to feed on the flower material. See, you can see the birds are coming to feed on the flower material. They are coming to feed the flower material and the fruits, so that they will help for the dispersal of pollen grains, and they'll carry when they are going to next flower. That is a kind of pollination, or they are helping for pollination. So such flowers are called as ornithophilous flowers. They are called as ornithophilous flowers. With the help of birds, pollination is taking place, means that is called as ornithophily, and the flowers are called as ornithophilous flowers. So examples are bottle brush. You can see ornithophilous flowers, bombax, the silk cotton. In this plant, ornithophily is taking place. Then you can see in bottle brush, then bignonia plant, the common yellow color garden plant, and the bottle brush. In all these, ornithophily is taking place. Next is chiropterophily. Chiropterophily, what is that? The pollination taking place with the help of bats. That is called as chiropterophily. Chiropterophily means with the help of bats, pollination is taking place. That is called as chiropterophily. So the flowers are big in size. The flowers will be big, and you can see in the case of Anthocephalus kadamba flower, in that also chiropterophily, with the help of bats, it is getting pollinated. And Bauhinia. Then in all these plants, and mainly you can see in guava plants, banana plants and all. In banana, you can see here how it is getting pollinated. This is a bat. With the help of bat, the pollination is taking place. And in guava also, bats are helping for pollination in guava plant also. Clear? And the last one is malacophily. Malacophily means pollination with the help of snails and slugs. That is called as malacophily. What is malacophily? With the help of snail or slug. That is called as malacophily. Pollination with the help of snail or slug. See, when a snail, it is moving over this flower, the pollen grains will reach from one flower to another flower. So that's how it is helping for pollination. So lemna plant, it is pollinated by water snails. Lemna plant is pollinated by water snails. Note down, that is an important question. Several times they asked for NEET exam. Lemna is pollinated by water snails. Okay. So these are the pollinating agents. We have learned about abiotic and biotic agents of pollination. Okay. Is it clear? Any doubts from this? So by next class, mostly we'll wind up this chapter. Any doubt? Is it clear? Nipa Mridula, I think.
Yes, teacher.
Yeah,
Yes,
hope
ma'am.
everything is clear. No doubt now. Do you have any doubt? Should I need to repeat anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So I have already given the questions. Go through all those questions. Practice those questions for NEET exam.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. We'll see in the next class.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.